Eli Turner had lived alone on his ranch for so many years that silence had become his closest companion. Every morning he walked out of his small wooden house with a cup of warm coffee, listening only to the soft cries of distant birds and the breeze moving through the dry grass. His ranch stretched far across the Arizona land, but it felt empty most days. Eli had worked hard to keep the place running, but the loneliness often sat on him like a heavy blanket. He was not unfriendly. He simply had no one around. The nearest town was many miles away, and the people there only knew him as the quiet man who came in for supplies once every few weeks. After losing most of his family early in life, Eli had decided it was easier to stay by himself, focusing on his work. Still, there were evenings when he sat on his porch and wondered if life would ever bring him companionship again. One warm afternoon, Eli was out checking on his cattle when he noticed that one calf was missing. This had happened before, but usually the little ones did not wander far. He followed the tracks and soon realized they led deeper into the land than he normally traveled. The sky was bright and calm, so he kept walking, thinking he would bring the calf back before sunset. But nature had its own plans. Clouds gathered faster than he expected. A strong wind picked up, pushing dust across the open land. Eli looked up, surprised by how quickly the weather had changed. The sky darkened, and a distant rumble warned him that a storm was moving in. The calf's tracks continued toward a rocky area near a dry canyon, and Eli hesitated. Going farther meant stepping into less familiar ground, but he could not leave the young animal out in the storm. He pressed on, moving carefully across uneven paths. The wind grew stronger. Sand stung his eyes. The storm reached him before he could find shelter. Heavy rain began to fall, mixing with sharp gusts of wind that pushed him off balance. Eli spotted a small rock overhang and hurried toward it, hoping to wait out the storm. But the ground was slippery, and just as he reached the shelter, he slipped on a wet stone and fell hard. Pain shot through his leg and shoulder. He tried to stand, but the pain made his vision blur. The storm roared around him, rain beating down like a drum. Eli crawled under the narrow overhang and closed his eyes, hoping the storm would pass quickly. But the pain and exhaustion were too much. Little by little, darkness pulled him in. When he opened his eyes again, he was no longer lying under the rock. The air felt warm now, and he could hear soft voices nearby. His vision slowly cleared, and he realized he was inside a large tent-like shelter made of animal hides. A fire crackled gently in the center, giving off both heat and a calming glow. Eli tried to sit up, but a sharp pain in his leg stopped him. Before he could try again, someone stepped into his view. It was a woman, tall, with calm but watchful eyes. She wore traditional clothing made from carefully crafted materials, and she carried herself with quiet strength. "You are awake," she said in steady English. Eli blinked in confusion. He had no idea where he was or how he got there. Before he could speak, another woman entered. This one younger, and carrying a bowl of warm water. Both women studied him with a mix of caution and curiosity. The older woman spoke again. "You were hurt. We found you in the storm." Eli swallowed hard. His mouth felt dry. "Thank you," he said softly. I don't know what happened after I fell." The younger woman placed the bowl beside him and stepped back. Her expression was gentle, but she kept a respectful distance. The older woman introduced herself as Nalin. She seemed to be the leader of the group. She told him that a search party of their women had been out gathering supplies before the storm hit. They had found him unconscious and carried him back to their settlement, which was hidden deep within their territory. Eli listened quietly, feeling both grateful and uneasy. He had heard stories about this area, stories told by travelers and local ranchers, but none had mentioned crossing paths with a tribe of only women. He looked around the shelter, noticing the craftsmanship of the items inside woven baskets, carved tools, dried herbs hanging neatly from wooden poles. "Am I a prisoner?" Eli finally asked, his voice unsure. Nalin's eyes did not soften, but they did not harden either. "You are safe," she answered. "But we do not let strangers walk freely in our home." You will stay under watch until we understand who you are. Eli nodded slowly. It made sense. He was on their land without permission, and they had every reason to be cautious. Still, the word safe gave him a small sense of peace. Over the next hour, more women came to check on him. Some brought food. Others examined his injuries, wrapping his leg with clean cloth and placing a warm herbal mixture on his shoulder. They spoke their own language among themselves, but when they spoke to Eli, they used simple English. Despite their caution, they never treated him harshly. They kept a careful distance, but their actions showed respect and discipline. Eli noticed that every woman he saw carried herself with confidence, as if each one played an important role in the tribe's routine. As the night settled, the storm finally calmed outside. Eli lay awake, listening to the quiet sounds of the settlement, soft footsteps, distant laughter, and the murmur of evening tasks being completed. For the first time in a long while, he was surrounded by people, yet he felt like a visitor in a world he did not fully understand. Nalin checked on him one last time before leaving him to rest. She stood near the fire, her expression unreadable. "You will need time to heal," she said. "Until then, you stay here, no wandering." Eli nodded again. "I understand, and thank you for helping me. You didn't have to." Nalin looked at him with thoughtful eyes. "We do not leave people to suffer, even strangers." Then she stepped out into the night. Eli lay back, staring at the ceiling of the shelter. His leg throbbed, and his body felt heavy, but his mind was restless. He had never expected his search for a missing calf to lead him into the heart of an unknown community. He wondered what tomorrow would bring. Would they trust him? Would they let him go once he recovered? Or would he remain here much longer than he planned? For now, he could do nothing but wait. He closed his eyes and listened to the gentle crackle of the fire. Despite his confusion and pain, a strange sense of calm washed over him. He was not alone tonight, and though he didn't yet know who these women were or what their story was, he sensed that this unexpected encounter was only the beginning of something far bigger than he could imagine. Eli woke early the next morning, though he did not know what time it was. The tent was dim, lit only by the soft glow of morning light slipping through small gaps in the hides. His body felt heavy, and a dull ache sat deep in his leg, reminding him of yesterday's fall. He tried to shift slightly, but even that small movement sent a sharp pain through him. He sucked in a slow breath and laid still again. As he lay there, he noticed the quiet outside. It was peaceful, but not empty. He heard the gentle movement of footsteps, the sound of water being poured, soft voices speaking in the Apache language, and the distant rhythm of someone working with wood. It felt like waking inside a world that had existed long before he arrived. A moment later, the tent flap lifted, and a young woman stepped in. Eli recognized her from yesterday. She was the one who had brought the bowl of warm water. She had long dark hair tied neatly behind her, and moved with a calm confidence. "You are awake," she said softly. Eli nodded. "Yes, my leg still hurts." She came closer but kept enough distance to show respect. "It will take time, but you will heal." She set down a small wooden bowl filled with warm tea-like liquid. "Drink. It will help your pain." Eli carefully lifted himself with one elbow and took the bowl. The drink had a gentle herbal scent. It wasn't strong, but it felt warm and soothing as it went down. He thanked her quietly. The woman watched him for a moment, then said, "My name is Ahioka." Eli repeated softly, "Ahioka." Her eyes showed a small hint of approval. "Good. You say it well." He smiled awkwardly. "Thank you." Before he could ask any questions, Ahioka stepped back and left the tent. Eli assumed she had duties to return to. After a few breaths, he heard footsteps approaching again. This time, Nalin entered. Nalin carried herself with the authority of someone responsible for many people. Her expression was serious but not unfriendly. She studied him for a long moment, as if trying to read every thought he had. "You rested," she said, more as a statement than a question. "I tried," Eli replied. "I'm grateful for the help, truly." Nalin came closer. You are still weak. You will stay here until you recover. Our healers will care for you. Eli nodded slowly. He didn't want to overstep or seem demanding. I understand. A silence passed between them before Nalan asked, Why did you come so far into our land? You said nothing yesterday. Eli took a steady breath. I didn't mean to come this far. One of my calves wandered off. I followed the tracks. Then the storm came. I fell and blacked out. That's all I remember. Nalan observed him with careful eyes, studying not just his words but the honesty in his voice. At last she nodded. We will confirm this. But your story seems true. Eli felt a small weight lift from his chest. Nalan continued. You will see our settlement only when we decide. For now, you stay inside. I won't cause trouble, Eli said quickly. I just want to heal and go home. Her expression softened only a little. If you show respect, we will show respect. That is our way. With that, she stepped out again. The day passed slowly. Women entered the tent at different times, some bringing food, others checking his injuries, and some simply observing him. They did not speak much, but their actions were kind. They seemed curious about him, but polite enough not to crowd him. Around midday, a woman with bright, lively eyes walked in. She carried a small bundle of herbs and another bowl. Without hesitation, she sat next to him, her energy filling the space. I am Hania, she said cheerfully. Eli smiled. Nice to meet you. She opened the herb bundle and began mixing something in the bowl. Nalan says you help fix things on your ranch. Eli tilted his head. I do. Hania nodded, pleased. When you are well, you can help here, too. Eli let out a soft laugh. If I can walk by then, I'd be glad to. She laughed as well, a bright sound that made the entire tent feel warmer. Good. We always need hands. Even stranger hands. Eli appreciated her sense of humor. He didn't feel judged, just gently teased. Hania applied the herbal mixture to his shoulder, working with careful fingertips. The mixture smelled earthy and refreshing. The pain slowly softened. When she finished, she packed her things. You rest, she said gently. You will need strength. Many eyes will watch you. But not all eyes are unfriendly. Eli nodded in thanks. Hania gave him one last playful smile before leaving. In the afternoon, the tent flap opened again, and this time a woman entered with a firmer expression. She was tall and carried a bow slung across her back. Her steps were light but purposeful. She looked like someone who spent most of her time outdoors. She didn't speak at first. She simply observed him, her gaze steady, studying him the way one studies the movement of the land or the trail of an animal. I am Tala, she finally said. Eli nodded politely. Nice to meet you. Tala did not come closer. She stayed near the entrance, arms crossed. I watched the borders. I saw the place where the storm found you. Thank you for bringing me here, Eli said sincerely. Tala's eyes softened slightly. The storm was strong. You would not have lived if we had not found you. Eli nodded. I know. I'm grateful. Tala looked at him a moment longer, then said, I will watch you too, not to harm, only to be sure. Eli accepted that easily. Of course. She gave a short nod and slipped out of the tent without another word. The rest of the day rolled by gently. Eli listened to the sounds of the settlement, trying to imagine what life was like outside. He could hear laughter sometimes, tools tapping against wood, the sound of grinding stones, and the chatter of daily work. Even without seeing it, he sensed that this was a place full of cooperation and structure. As evening approached, Ahioka returned with another bowl of warm soup. She sat near him and watched as he ate. You were alone before, she said softly. Your eyes show it. Eli looked up, surprised that she read him so easily. Yes, I've been alone for a long time, Ahioka nodded without judgment. People can be alone even when others live near them. It is a heavy feeling. Eli lowered his gaze. It is. She placed a folded cloth near him. Here, use this for comfort." Then, without waiting for thanks, she stood and left the tent. Night came quietly. The fire's glow flickered gently, casting soft shadows on the tent walls. Eli felt more awake than tired. His body hurt, but his mind was full. He thought of Nalan's steady authority, Hanya's warm humor, Ahioka's quiet understanding, and Tala's serious watchfulness. Each woman had her own strength. They lived with purpose and confidence. They moved like people who trusted each other deeply. Eli felt like the outsider he truly was, yet he did not feel unwanted. They were cautious, yes, but not unkind. They treated him as a human being, not as a threat. That gave him hope. He wondered how long he would stay here. How long until they trusted him enough to let him walk outside? How long until he understood their world even a little? But one thought stayed with him as he finally drifted to sleep. He had entered this place by accident, but something told him he was meant to learn something important here about others, and perhaps about himself too. Eli woke on his 5th morning in the settlement feeling a little stronger than before. The pain in his leg had lessened, and he could sit up without needing to hold his breath. He tested his weight slowly, touching his foot to the ground. It still hurt, but not as sharply as earlier. He knew he would not be walking far, but at least he felt progress. When the tent flap opened, Ahioka stepped in with warm bread and a small pot of herbal tea. She noticed him sitting up on his own and nodded with an approving smile. "You heal fast," she said. "I'm trying," Eli replied with a small grin. "You will walk again soon, but you must not rush." Eli nodded. He had no desire to injure himself again. After he ate, Ahioka helped him stand with the support of a wooden stick. "Only small steps," she said. "No more." Eli moved carefully, just enough to stretch his muscles. As he steadied himself, Nalan entered the tent. Her sharp eyes observed him from head to toe. "You improve," she said. "Good. When you can walk more, you will help with work." Eli welcomed that idea. "I would like to help," he said sincerely. "I don't want to simply lie here, doing nothing." Nalan's expression softened just a little. "We will see." Before leaving, she added, "Respect our ways. Show kindness. We see everything." Eli nodded, taking her words seriously. Later that morning, he heard Tala outside. Her footsteps were recognizable, light, steady, almost silent. She appeared at the entrance of the tent. "You want to help?" she asked plainly. "I do," Eli said. Tala motioned with her head. "Come." Eli leaned on the walking stick and followed her outside for the first time since he arrived. The bright sunlight greeted him, and he squinted as his eyes adjusted. For a moment, he felt overwhelmed. The settlement was larger than he imagined. Several tents stood in a wide circle. Women were busy grinding herbs, preparing food, caring for animals, weaving, repairing tools, and sorting supplies. The place was full of life and movement. Tala guided him to the edge of the settlement, where wooden posts needed fixing. "These fences keep our small animals safe," she said. "Storm broke some." Eli studied the damage. "I can fix these," he said. Even with one good leg, Tala crossed her arms, watching him closely. "Show me." He picked up a wooden pole and inspected it. The wood was cracked at the top, but the base was strong. With a little trimming and repositioning, it could still be used. Eli worked slowly, but steadily. His hands moved with experience. He cleaned the broken edges, realigned the posts, tied them securely with rope, and pressed the base firmly into the ground. Tala watched the entire time, not speaking. When he finished, she tested the fence by pushing against it. It held firm. "You know your work," she said at last. "I've built many fences back home," Eli replied, wiping dust from his hands. Tala gave him a small nod, a gesture of approval he did not take lightly. In her quiet way, she respected skill more than words. For the next hour, he repaired more posts. He moved slowly, resting often, but he worked with complete focus. Several women passing by stopped to watch him. Some whispered to each other, surprised to see a stranger contributing without being asked twice. When lunchtime came, Hania arrived with food carried in a woven basket. Her cheerful smile appeared before she did. "You work already?" she said, laughing lightly. "Good. We like hands that do things," Eli chuckled. "I'm better at working than sitting still." Hania handed him a bowl of stew and a piece of flat bread. "Eat. Working on one leg is still working." They sat under a small shade. Hania asked him questions about ranch life, what animals he cared for, what tools he used, what storms looked like from his land. Eli answered with simple honesty. She listened with interest, laughing softly whenever he described the stubborn nature of certain cattle. "You speak kindly about everything," she said. "Even the animals that trouble you." Eli shrugged. "Life is easier with kindness." Hania smiled warmly. "Yes, our people believe that too." Throughout the afternoon, Eli helped with small tasks. He sorted wooden pieces, stacked stones, and organized ropes. These were minor jobs, but the women noticed. They appreciated that he did not complain or act superior. He simply worked quietly, respecting their environment and their trust. Later, Ahioka approached and handed him a small basket of herbs. "These need to dry," she said. "Place them on the sunstones." Eli followed her instructions carefully. Ahioka stood nearby, observing silently. After a moment, she spoke. "You learn fast." "I'm trying to be useful," he replied. "You are," Ahioka said softly. "Your hands speak with patience." Eli felt a strange warmth at her words. Not romantic, just comforting. He had not felt seen or appreciated by anyone in a long time. As the sun lowered, Nalin walked through the settlement, checking on the day's tasks. When she reached Eli, she paused, her eyes moving slowly from the repaired fences to the sorted supplies. "You worked well today," she said. "Thank you," Eli replied respectfully. "Everyone has been helpful to me. I want to give something back." Nalin looked at him for a long moment. "Work shows heart, not only hands. We will remember today." Then she turned and continued her rounds. That evening, Eli sat near a small fire with a few women. They worked on weaving tools while talking softly among themselves. They did not pressure him to speak, but they included him by offering food and water. He listened to their conversations, stories of hunting trips, funny mistakes, memories of past storms, and lessons from their elders. He realized how close they were to one another. Their trust ran deep. Their teamwork was strong. They lived like one large, united family. A small child approached him, one of the youngest in the tribe. She stared at him shyly, holding a wooden carving. Eli smiled warmly. "Is that yours?" he asked gently. She nodded, gripping the carving tightly. Then, slowly, she extended it toward him. It was a small wooden bird, carved with surprising skill. "Thank you," Eli said softly as he accepted it. The little girl smiled before running back to her mother. The women nearby smiled too, as if the child's gesture meant something important. Ahioka leaned close and whispered, "Children know hearts better than adults. She trusts you." Eli looked down at the carving, feeling strangely touched. "I won't forget this," he said. The night deepened, and the fire crackled peacefully. For the first time since he arrived, Eli felt he belonged, even if only a little. The tribe was cautious, yes, but they were fair and kind. They respected hard work and honest behavior, and that was something Eli understood well. When he finally lay down in his tent, he felt a new kind of tiredness, one shaped not by loneliness, but by connection. He thought about how far he had come since the storm. He had entered this place as a stranger, but now the women saw him not just as someone they rescued, but someone who could contribute. He knew he would need more time to fully earn their trust, especially from the more serious members of the tribe. But today was a step, a meaningful one. As he drifted into sleep, he felt certain that the days ahead would bring even more unexpected moments, chances to understand these women, to learn from them, and maybe even to find a kind of belonging he had never known before. Days turned into weeks, and Eli's presence in the tribe slowly became a natural part of daily life. At first, the women only saw him as the stranger they had rescued, but now, many of them saw him as someone who worked hard, spoke kindly, and respected their traditions. His injured leg grew stronger, and although he still walked with a slight limp, he could move around on his own without a stick. Every day, he found ways to help. Whether it was repairing broken tools, strengthening storage boxes, caring for small animals, or helping with the heavy lifting, the women appreciated his willingness. The tribe had always worked together like one coordinated family, and Eli became another steady pair of hands in that rhythm. One day, as he prepared to repair a wooden water trough, Nalin approached him with a thoughtful expression. Her presence always carried quiet authority. "You have been with us many suns," she said. Eli set aside his tools and faced her respectfully. "Yes, and I'm grateful for every day you allowed me to stay." Nalin nodded slightly. "We watch everything. We see how you behave. You walk carefully among us. You work with your hands and with your heart. This we do not ignore." Eli waited, unsure what she was leading to. "You are no longer watched with doubt," Nalin continued. "Now you are watched with trust." Eli felt a warm rush move through his chest. He had never expected such words. "That means a lot," he said quietly. Nalin paused, studying his face. "You must understand our tribe suffered in the past. Trust is not given easily. But you earned it with your actions, not your words." She turned slightly, looking toward the distant hills. "We have discussed something important. Tomorrow, we will hold a small gathering, and you will sit with us. Not as a stranger, but as someone who has lived among us with respect." Eli nodded deeply. "I'm honored." Nalin placed her hand lightly on his shoulder, an uncommon gesture from her. Then she walked away. Eli stood there for a long moment, absorbing her words. This tribe lived by tradition, respect, and unity. To be invited into their gathering meant they saw him as more than an outsider. It meant they accepted him. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the red cliffs, Ahioka brought him a warm cloth for his leg as she always did. She noticed his thoughtful expression and asked, "What did Nalin want?" Eli smiled softly. "She said the tribe sees me differently now. They trust me." Ahioka's eyes brightened, and she nodded. "Yes, it is true. We see your heart, not just your hands." Her voice held a quiet sincerity. Eli felt comfort in her presence. "I'm glad," he said. "I've never been good at many things, but I know how to be loyal." Ahioka lowered her gaze shyly. "Loyalty is rare," she whispered. The next day, Eli woke early to help prepare the area for the gathering. Women arranged mats in a wide circle, decorated with woven patterns and colorful beads. It was not a huge celebration, just a special meeting where the tribe recognized important moments. Hania handed Eli a small, carved stone, shaped like a leaf. "Hold this during the gathering," she said. "It shows you speak with honesty." Eli looked down at the small stone. "It's beautiful," Hania grinned. "Tala carved it." At that moment, Tala approached. She stood tall and calm as usual. "It is not perfect," she said simply. Eli shook his head. "It's perfect to me." Tala's eyes softened for a moment. That was her way of accepting appreciation. As the sun rose, the women gathered around the circle. Eli sat quietly, feeling a sense of peace wash over him. Nalin stepped forward. Her voice was steady and warm. "We are here to acknowledge the actions of the man we rescued many storms ago," she said. "He came to us injured and unknown. But through his actions, he has shown respect for our people and our land." The women nodded in agreement, some smiling gently toward Eli. Nalin continued. "He has worked beside us. He has not tried to change our ways. Instead, he learned them. He has asked for nothing. Instead, he has given much." Eli felt his throat tighten. He did not expect such generous words. "With this gathering," Nalin said, We say that he walks among us with trust. His presence brings no fear, only calm. Then she turned to him and added, "You are welcome to walk through our home without watchful eyes. You are part of our daily life now." Eli held the carved stone tightly in his hand. He nodded with deep respect. "Thank you," he said. "I don't know how to express what this means. You saved my life when you didn't have to. And now, you're giving me a place here. I won't forget it." The women smiled, some more warmly than others. Eli noticed that the air felt lighter. Something had shifted not in the tribe, but inside his own heart. After the gathering, the tribe ate together. Many women approached Eli, asking him to join conversations, telling stories, or sharing memories. They treated him not as a guest, but as a familiar presence. Later in the afternoon, Tala approached him while he was carrying a bundle of wood. "You worked hard before the gathering," she said. "It's the least I could do," Eli answered. Tala studied him. "There is still weight in your eyes. What troubles you?" Eli hesitated. He trusted her honesty, so he said quietly, "I'm not sure what comes next. I don't know when I should leave, or if I should try to stay longer. Your tribe has been good to me. I don't want to disrespect your ways." Tala nodded slowly. "When the time comes, Nalan will speak. Until then, do not worry about leaving. We do not keep those who do not wish to stay. And we do not push away those who walk with good hearts." Eli considered her words carefully. He felt grateful for the clarity. As evening approached, Hania, Ahioka, and Tala invited him to sit by the fire. They talked softly as they shared roasted corn and fresh berries. They teased him gently about the first day he tried to walk on a weak leg. He laughed with them, feeling something he had not felt in years, joy without loneliness. When the night grew quiet, Eli looked around the fire. The warm glow reflected in the eyes of the women sitting with him. Each of them had their own personality. Ahioka's calm wisdom, Hania's bright laughter, Tala's strong silence. He felt connected to them in a way he had not expected. He realized that life had brought him here for a reason. The storm that nearly took his life had guided him into a place where kindness, tradition, and community were stronger than anything he had known before. Later, as he walked back to his tent, Ahioka followed him quietly. "You look peaceful tonight," she said. "I feel peaceful," Eli replied. "For the first time in a long while." Ahioka nodded gently. "Good, you deserve peace." Eli looked into her warm eyes. "Your tribe gave me that." Ahioka stepped closer. "You gave us something too," she said softly. "You reminded us that kindness still lives in outsiders. And you reminded us that trust can grow, even from unexpected places." Her words touched him deeply. He smiled, feeling both humble and grateful. Ahioka turned and walked back to the fire, leaving Eli with his thoughts. That night, he lay awake longer than usual. His tent felt warmer. The sounds of the tribe felt like a lullaby. He had never imagined that he, a lonely rancher, would become part of a world so different from his own. But fate had its own plans. And now, Eli felt ready to accept whatever the future in this place might hold. Whether it meant staying a little longer, helping more, or learning deeper truths about himself and the women who had opened their hearts to him without even realizing it. Eli stayed longer in the village than he ever expected. What was supposed to be a few days of recovery had stretched into many weeks, and soon those weeks began to feel like months. Yet he never once felt trapped or held against his will now. The village that once treated him with caution was now a place where he felt welcomed, valued, and understood. For the first time in his life, Eli felt he truly belonged somewhere. Every morning, he woke up to the gentle sounds of the village children laughing at a distance, women grinding corn, and the soft rhythm of footsteps moving from one hut to another. The sun would rise over the ridges and paint the sky with warm colors, filling the village with a peaceful glow. Eli had lived on a ranch for years, surrounded by wide fields and open skies, but this place felt different. It felt alive in a way he had never known before. The women no longer watched him with suspicion. Instead, they greeted him with friendly smiles and warm gestures. Some brought him bread they had baked. Some asked for help carrying water or caring for horses. Others simply sat with him and talked about their day. Their faces, once distant, were now familiar and kind. Eli responded to each of them with honest gratitude. He never tried to impress anyone. He simply helped because it felt right. And that was what won every heart around him. Ahioka often came to him with small bundles of herbs or interesting plants she found in the forest. She had become his closest teacher, guiding him through the medicines and traditions passed down in her family for generations. Eli listened carefully, repeating each name and asking questions. She found comfort in his interest. She liked that he valued her knowledge. Tala, quiet but strong, also spent time with him. She rarely spoke much, but Eli understood her peaceful silence. They often walked together near the riverside, tracking animal footprints or gathering wood. Tala appreciated that Eli never pushed her to talk. She felt respected, and she respected him in return. Hania, always bright and cheerful, brought laughter into Eli's days. Her jokes, stories, and playful attitude softened the atmosphere around them. It was Hania who first told Eli that his arrival had changed the village. "We were always strong," she said. "But you brought something gentle, something steady. It reminds us that kindness can come from anywhere." Eli thanked her, but he never felt he had done anything extraordinary. He simply treated everyone with sincerity and respect. But the women knew better. They had seen many travelers pass near their land over the years, and very few carried the kind of heart Eli had. As time passed, Eli began to understand the tribe's traditions even more deeply. He learned the meaning of their ceremonies, the importance of their songs, and the value they placed on unity and cooperation. He admired how the women worked together, cared for one another, and made every decision with thoughtfulness. They were a community that held each other up, no matter how difficult the circumstances. The village elders also noticed Eli's presence. They didn't speak often, but when they did, their words carried weight. One evening, they invited him to sit with them near a small fire. Eli felt nervous at first, unsure of what they wanted to discuss, but their expressions were calm and welcoming. One elder, a wise woman with silver braids, spoke softly. "You came to us as a stranger who fell on our land," she said. "We did not know who you were, but now we know your heart." Another elder added, "You have shown us respect, and in return, you have earned ours." Hearing this made Eli feel both humbled and emotional. He had spent many years alone, thinking he was meant to live apart from others. He never expected people he barely knew to accept him so warmly. In the weeks that followed, Eli continued helping the tribe wherever he could. He joined them during harvests, fixed broken tools, and helped look after the horses. The women valued his honest work. Children began following him with curiosity, asking him about life outside the village. Eli shared simple stories, ones about caring for animals, planting crops, and watching storms move across the plains. The children listened with bright eyes, fascinated by a world they had never seen. One afternoon, when the sun was high and the wind was cool, Nalin approached Eli with calm eyes and a serious tone. She was the tribe's leader, wise, firm, and deeply respected. Her presence always carried strength. "You have been here many moons," she said gently. "You have become a part of our days." Eli nodded. "Your people have been very kind to me." Nalin looked at him with a thoughtful expression. "You know you are free to return to your home whenever you choose. You are not bound here." Eli smiled softly. "I know, but whether you stay or leave," she added, "we want you to carry our trust with you." Eli felt a warm pressure in his chest. Trust was something rare, something that took time to earn. He understood how significant her words were. That evening, the tribe gathered for a small celebration. It wasn't a festival or a grand event, just a simple gathering filled with warmth and music. A fire was lit in the center of the village. Women sang songs passed down from their ancestors, their voices rising with emotion. Children played near the edges of the firelight, Elders sat quietly, watching with gentle smiles. During the gathering, Nalin approached Eli once again. This time, she held something wrapped in soft cloth. She opened it slowly, revealing a beautifully crafted item made from beads and polished stones. The colors were warm and earthy, woven together with great care. It was a symbol of unity, trust, and respect, something given only to those who had proven themselves as true friends of the tribe. Eli was speechless. He held the gift with both hands, feeling its weight and meaning. "I don't know what to say," he whispered. "You do not need many words," Nalin replied. "Your actions have spoken for you." The women around him smiled kindly, their eyes reflecting the firelight. Each one of them had seen Eli's journey from stranger to friend, and they were proud of the person he had become. Later that night, Eli sat alone under the stars, holding the gift in his hands. The sky above was vast and filled with light. He felt grateful, more grateful than he had ever felt before. He thought about his ranch, the place he once believed was his entire world. Now he knew there were other kinds of homes, not just built from wood and land, but from trust, connection, and kindness. The next morning, Eli told the tribe he needed to return to his ranch. It was a difficult decision, but he felt it was time. He promised he would never forget their kindness. The women gathered to say goodbye. Ahioka gave him herbs for the journey. Tala handed him a small water pouch she had made herself. Hania told him to come back whenever he felt lonely again. Nalin stepped forward last. "Our doors are never closed to you," she said. Eli smiled, touched by their words. "Thank you," he replied. "You've all become a part of my life." He mounted his horse and looked back one last time. The village stood quietly in the morning light, filled with the people who had changed him in ways he never expected. He carried the tribe's handmade token around his neck, a reminder of the bond he had formed, one that would stay with him forever. As he rode toward his ranch, Eli no longer felt like the lonely man he once was. He carried warmth in his heart, strength in his spirit, and memories that would guide him for the rest of his life. The tribe had given him more than shelter, they had given him connection. And even though he had left their land, the bond between them remained strong. Eli knew he would return one day. Maybe not soon, but someday. And when he did, he would be welcomed not as a stranger, but as someone who had earned a place in their hearts. And so, his journey continued, with hope, gratitude, and a beautiful piece of his life, forever tied to the women who once captured him, but later welcomed him as a trusted friend.